Welcome to Empower Her Radio, the space for powerhouse women ready to step into their next level of abundance, purpose, and personal freedom. I'm Dr. Corey Winn, a high performance coach, doctor of physical therapy, philanthropist, and business consultant. I help ambitious women align with their highest calling, expand their wealth and impact, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're a high achieving woman who's built success yet finds yourself craving more alignment, more purpose, more ease, you're in the right place. Here, we bridge the gap between ambition and fulfillment. Through transformative conversations and proven strategies, you'll gain the courage to step into the fullest expression of you. Build a powerhouse business that aligns with your expertise and divine gifts, and lead your life, both personally and professionally, with unshakable confidence, worthiness, and compassion. This is about expansion, legacy, and owning your power unapologetically. You already have everything inside of you to create a life of unlimited possibility. It's time to unlock it. Welcome to your next level. Let's dive in. Today, I am thrilled to welcome someone whose very presence brings sunshine into every room and especially my life. Shanna Stevens is a dynamic holistic life coach, licensed educator, and sought-after speaker with a gift for helping people unlock their fullest potential. She blends her rich educational background with unique holistic tools to guide clients toward meaningful transformation. What I love about Shanna is not just her expertise, but her energy. She has walked through her own pivots and transformations, and she brings that lived wisdom into every conversation. You're going to leave this conversation with practical insight, deep encouragement, and maybe even a little spark to embrace the next step in your own journey. Shanna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much.
So I got to meet Shanna at an event with Elise Archer in Sedona, Arizona, back in February, and there was an immediate connection, immediate friendship, and I'm so happy that she's willing to come on the show today and kind of share her story and transformation and life pivots. So can you kind of take us back there? How have you gone from where you were to where you are? I know a lot has happened in the last year.
Yeah, that was such a great trip, wasn't it? There was an immediate connection. That was so fun, so transformational in itself in that trip. Um, I what's come to me since the invite to be on your show is letting go and what my childhood instability has taught me. We do transform and transition every day in small moments. We're not the same person that we were even yesterday. So when you asked me to bring some insights, and this is what came to me, and I just happened to be on another call yesterday with a screen full of women that talked about letting go and the struggles of letting go. And it was a very, very tender moment that we all shared together. So I thought this was a very appropriate at this time. So for me, growing up, I'll just kind of do a little excerpt here. Growing up, Dad was always looking to better the family, and in turn, we ended up moving from home to home quite often. Now, when I say quite often, we moved 30 times in the 30 years that my parents were married.
Oh my gosh. I thought I'd moved a lot.
So much moving from home to home. And so that's a lot. And it's within 3 different states. And so we moved quite often. So that stability was something that I never really knew. And because of that, the idea of letting go was almost, non-existent for me. And every time I had to let go, it felt like an abandonment, uncertainty, and it was definitely scary as a child. So I carried that belief into my adulthood, clinging onto relationships, clinging to places, even hanging onto identities. And because I thought holding on meant safety.
Right.
So, but through my own journey and healing, I've come to see that letting go isn't about losing or abandonment. And this is big. For me, it finally became about making space, space to reconnect back to myself, rediscover myself, space for new opportunities, new relationships that actually align with me.
Mhm.
And I did it by starting with myself, choosing myself over people, choosing myself over things, over events, over caregiving. As a recovering codependent, I was modeled to worry about others versus myself. And it really does shift things when you turn the focus back on yourself first. Then you can give something away that you actually have. So
Right.
today, letting go has become an act of self-love, an act of self-worth, not self-abandonment. And that's the message that I hope to share with the listeners today, that release can feel safe and even empowering.
Hmm. Well, and I think so much as women, we're trained to caregive. And then if we've gone through something like you mentioned earlier, by not really having control over much of anything in your life, there is a sense of safety when you feel like you have some sort of control. And I love that you've taken back control of you. So often we allow others to control or influence our life, our decisions. And the moment that we can take back that control, take our power back, it really allows for those quantum leaps. So can you
Oh,
speak to
yeah.
that a little bit?
Yeah. So one of the hardest things that I had to let go of was my marriage. And for a long time, marriage and my partner was my identity in multiple unhealthy ways.
Mhm.
Um, Feeling I had to fulfill a role, expectations, be the ideal partner, making sure they were okay before I was okay.
Mhm.
And I clung onto the relationship, not really knowing who I was in
Mhm.
it. We're not really modeled that as we grow older. And so I ended up losing my sense of self, my self concept, what I liked, what I loved. So once it was over, it was a way, of grasping onto the relationship. It was not allowing myself to feel fully because my grasp was so tight of the past. I couldn't let go of the nostalgia or the unresolved feelings,
Mhm.
that it was uh, actually over, and also letting go of the ways that I thought that marriage was supposed to be.
Mhm.
So, because my childhood, it taught me that holding on meant safety. Letting
Right.
go felt like failure, felt like
Mhm.
fear, the uncertainty and the abandonment, even confusion. There was such a cluster of emotions that you can't even identify when trying to let go of something. You don't know exactly what you're feeling, what's going on in it, right? So
Oh
my
yeah.
whole body was resisting the letting go part of it. So,
And there's something to be said about the fear of the unknown,
mm,
and I think so many of us stay or don't move on as quickly as maybe we could look back and wish that we had, because at least this is known. Even if it's not great, if it's not what we want it to be, it's known. And what would the unknown be?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's where a lot of us are going, a lot of the women are going, is into the unknown, because we hear stories now that once people have gone into the unknown, they have nothing but amazing things to say. There's
Mhm.
that threshold of scary and fear. What's on the other side? A lot better than what it's been.
Yes.
Right? So the shift for me, a quick educational piece. What I know today as a coach and what I teach my clients is there are three phases of life. Okay, we've got the child, the adolescent, and the adult. And this is inspired by the adult chair by Michelle Chalfant. The child phase is ages 0 to 6. Okay, so zero meaning in utero. So before we're ever born, our nervous systems are absorbing from the environment around us. And my parents moved a couple of times after my older brother was born, and I was still in utero, not knowing where they were going to end up. So I was absorbing uncertainty early on. And after I was born, we moved a few more times. So even more uncertainty. Now, moving a lot, I was constantly taking in information. learning about the world and informing beliefs for life ahead, right? So life was going to be uncertain. It's just parents were doing the best they could. There's no blame or shame, pointing fingers. It's just how it was.
Oh, yeah.
And questions I like to ask my clients about old patterns around their behaviors today as adults. We go back and we ask about childhood, about this phase of life. Was there contention in their home, or was there peace and love? Were you wanted? Was mommy's tummy being touched or talked to in loving ways, right? Was your birth being celebrated? Were you given up for adoption? Were you hugged in childhood? So these all play a role, right? In on our nervous systems from 0 to 6 before we're even born, and then once we are born. So what's the environment like after we are born? Is there arguing, contention? Is there peace and love? So everything heard and observed or experienced goes into our little nervous systems, right? So the key in here is everything that happens from this phase of life, 0 to 6 years old, is taken in and recorded. So this is where the inner child is created. We're hearing so much about the inner child. So we're walking balls of unconsciousness, right? There's no discernment at this age. You tell a preschooler or a kindergarten the sky is purple, they're going to believe you.
Right.
Right. So we're just walking balls of unconsciousness and no discernment. And whether something's good or bad, it all gets programmed. So the emotional moments are experiences that we don't understand yet as children. So it's not good or bad. It's just what it is. And this phase of life becomes our GPS or our navigational system for adulthood. So these are the programs that are running until we go in there and we start reprogramming. These are the programs from our childhood that are running adults. So our nervous system becomes fragmented when something painful happens to us, right, in this phase of life. So when mom sets us down on the floor to fix dinner, we don't understand if she's coming back or not. So we start crying and trying to communicate. This creates an unintentional wound as a child, right? Are you with me?
I am. I'm sitting here thinking about the fact that when Eliza Jane was 4, we moved across the country. And so many people were like, oh, she'll be fine. She's resilient. It's not a big deal. She fell apart when we moved. I mean, anxiety and everything changed. And so much I've learned from your teachings in the inner child, Elisa's teachings in the inner child, and the work that I've done is like, it's not necessarily that way for every kiddo. Some
Right.
kiddos are like mine and it blew her world apart. It was like, what is happening? So I'm just sitting here kind of thinking about things that have happened in my own life or in my kiddo's life that totally follow exactly what you're saying.
That's a great example. Yeah. And children don't know what resilience is. That's something that adults put labels on of children. And so really there's so many things happening to their little nervous systems that they can't explain, they can't understand, right? But this model here helps us understand why we are who we are today and then where we're going, right?
Yeah.
So the next phase is the adolescent phase. This is the phase from ages 7 to 24, and this is a little bit longer range. So when our ego comes online, we're also unconscious here, okay? So when the ego forms, we develop the concept of I. So this is about from first grade into second grade into third, depending on where you're at around age 7. I'm separate from the world. I'm separate from mom, from my family, from my friends. Okay. I have my own identity. And the ego is necessary because it's designed, it literally was created to help keep us safe. Ultimately, our egos have 3 jobs. Number 1 is to keep us safe. Number 2, to keep us alive. And number 3, to keep us accepted. Around our adolescent years, if we feel like we're not accepted, we're going to die. It's that extreme, right?
And you see that in teenagers.
You really do.
Thing ever to be ostracized by your friends.
Oh, it's devastating, right? And then us as adults, not knowing how to navigate that, we tell them you're okay, you're fine, buck up, get through it.
Mhm.
Well, lo and behold, it's not exactly the approach that we want to do it in a healthy way.
Right.
So this is based in fear. Our ego is based in fear. It's literally designed to help keep us safe, right? No matter what. So it's got all these fragmented parts as the recordings that happened from our child phase, ages 0 to 6. And it says, okay, I need to run my life based on everything that's already happened. And of course, everything that hasn't happened yet, moving forward to keep you safe. So it takes the information from the past and it starts building a GPS system for the future. Don't do that. It's going to hurt. Don't say that. It's going to hurt. Right. So it has to be on high alert all the time. And to do this, it has to make up a lot of stories and a lot of assumptions. And typically they aren't true and they never have been.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So our ego tries to rationalize all the new encounters in life to keep us safe. So whether it's true or not, the ego's job is to keep us safe. I've said that 9 times already. I'm probably going to say it a few more times. The ego is designed to keep us safe.
Well,
So,
and I love that you're talking about each phase of this because again, I can go back. My stepkids are grown, 24 and 26 now. But when my stepdaughter was in high school, there was also so much anxiety around social
mm,
media and being accepted in social media. And then she went off to college. And I remember her coming home the first semester, and this weight had been lifted off, and she said, "Nobody cares now." And I didn't have any idea what she was talking about. So I sat and listened, and she said, "Corey, there were rules as to what I could post and not post, and how I could be, and how I could dress, and what I could look like when I posted on Instagram." And my eyes just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, who cares about this stuff? Who
mm,
cares?
mm,
And she said, and then I went to college, and it wasn't the age range that you necessarily talked about. She wasn't at that 25-year-old mark yet. But even just the growth from 18 to 19 and 19 to 20
so much.
was fascinating to me.
Mm,
And she said, the friendships that I have now are so
mm,
much deeper and so different, and nobody cares about any of that stuff. So I also hope, excuse me, that our audience hears you too as parents navigating this phase of life and really understanding that our children, are not trying to be disrespectful or rude or hard to get along with all the time. They're literally at a nervous system level trying to figure out how to survive. And I
absolutely.
feel like our generation would say, "Oh, that's really over dramatic. Like that's a lot. Like they just need to get over it." And there's so much research now, and I'm so glad that you're talking about this because it helps those of us who are, generational pattern breakers of like, okay, what do I do with this, with this
Yeah.
information?
Yeah, and I love that you shared that, Corey, because that's such a big important part of these kids' lives going transitioning from high school, where the world starts getting bigger and bigger, into college, and now there's more comparison in a healthy manner, in that their self-concept can come from other people, not just from their home,
Mhm.
right? So as there's things that we talk about how to parent from your healthy adult.
Right,
And what it comes down to is parenting yourself first
right.
so that you can give away what you have. So that's a part of what this model is reparenting ourselves, going back to the inner child, what our caregivers that raised us, the voices that raised us,
Hmm.
and reprogramming that and doing it differently. So now your nervous system knows when your child comes to you with whatever it is, you're
Right.
grounded and centered in your healthy adult. So now we just reflect back to them so that they can make choices for themselves rather than us pushing our ideas onto them.
Hmm. Well, and I've had to talk to my daughter a few times and just say, you know, when I react, sometimes I get very quiet because I don't want to react the way that my parents did. But
Mm.
I want to be clear, like, I'm not giving you the silent treatment. I'm not getting ready to explode. I'm sitting here going, I don't know how to respond to that. So I'm not
Right.
going to say anything. And
Right.
clearly I don't always get it right. I still lash out sometimes. Um, but I think so many of us are in that space of, okay, my parents were amazing. They were doing the best that they could with the information that they had at that
Yep.
time. And there's some patterns that I don't want to continue.
Yep.
And we might not all have the resources for that. And I know you're going to talk about how do people get in touch with you at the end of the show. So I want to make sure for that. But I think so much of our audience too is in that place. They want to do things differently. So I'm so glad that you're on the show today too, so that people can know where to turn
Mhm.
and get those resources. So
Yeah. Thank you for that, Corey. They say the age of 12, 13, the tweener age is the age that that child will be in the world. It's our job as caregivers to reflect back to them the choices, the things that they say, not in a reactive manner, but a responsive manner.
mhm,
We can talk a little bit more of that as we talk about being in our healthy adult as responders rather than reactors, right?
mhm, mhm,
So going back to the ego, the adolescent phase, our minds create parts or masks, or even known as personas, from these fragmented pieces from our childhood. Uh, that's that keeps us safe and accepted. So the ego creates parts to make sense of these wounds, right? So these parts or these masks tell stories and assumptions, again, whether it's true or not. So it's the part of us, again, that's reactive. It's the knee-jerk reactions. It's the part of us that's controlling, all based in fear.
mhm,
This is where overwhelm is born. Codependency, blame, shame, people pleasing. These are all based in fear from our own childhood.
mhm,
Okay. So going back to the unstable home story of moving around a lot, I felt that if I made friends or got too comfortable in my own home, it would be taken away from me.
mhm,
So it was safer to cling on to, say, toys, dolls, furniture. I was clinging on to teachers as a child. I remember caregivers, friends, even places. I remember going through these heart-wrenching emotions when I had to leave a doll or someone behind.
mhm,
And I remember being attached. So I had learned that no matter how hard I clung to these things or people, they were never going to be there forever. And this
mhm,
became a huge loss for me. And later on in life, relationships felt unstable.
mhm,
So moving on to the final stage of life, the third stage, I call it the healthy adult phase. And this is age 25 and older. Now we say 25 because that's when the brain's around 25 is when the brain's fully developed. Okay. So some of the qualities of this phase of life were conscious. As a healthy adult, we are living in present moment. We stay out of the past. We don't future trip. We literally come back to the present moment. We can let go and move on. We own and take responsibility for our own mistakes, and we apologize when it's necessary.
mhm,
And we're connected to our inner child, which was where all the emotions are at. In our healthy adult, we feel our emotions. Okay, so today, from my healthy adult, I realized that clinging was actually keeping me stuck.
mhm,
And I wasn't going anywhere, and I wasn't allowing myself to receive love in a way that was healthy.
mhm,
I learned that letting go was about abandoning myself, or it wasn't about abandoning myself. It was about finally choosing myself. So from my healthy adult, I created a space that I can make choices differently.
yes.
Okay. And then endings were seen as new beginnings, sacred ends to a journey and even a new alignment. And healing hasn't been about letting go of the fear, but rather allowing myself to fully feel who I thought I was and letting go of that.
Mhm. Have you found that any of that has been partially like a grieving process too? Like, or do your clients kind of grieve, or maybe I should say, do they feel they need to grieve like the thought of what life was going to be or what they had to move forward, or is it not really a grieving process?
It absolutely is a grieving process. We grieve every day. We grieve the idea. of things that we like expectations. We grieve the loss of conversation. We grieve so many things on so many different levels. Letting go is absolutely a level of grieving.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So the turning point, or also the healing point, was that for me, I got to a place where I was in fetal position on my bed, allowing myself to feel full the loss, the grief,
Mm-hmm.
the change, right? Uh, then I got curious. So once once I got curious about what from my past was showing up for me. So because I was able to feel and flush the emotion, then I was able to get into my logic mind and think, now let's get curious here. Why? Where'd this come from?
Mm-hmm.
What are the patterns that are showing up in my life? So this is what I did. This is one of the exercises that I do with my clients is I got a piece of paper and I started writing down my life's timeline.
Mm-hmm.
All the houses and places that we'd lived, all the friends I can remember, our family reunions I remember having as a child, events from childhood. And
Mm-hmm.
once I got clear on how many times we moved, it, it came to me how difficult it must have been for a child to move that many times, and how my little one must have felt leaving and moving from home to home.
Mm-hmm.
So the feeling of abandonment came up as I was doing this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was able to sit in the feelings, offer compassion as a healthy adult, and gave validation to my little one for her feeling abandoned or left. And sitting in that place of compassion and understanding, it helped me move the letting go energy through my body,
Mm-hmm.
and including the grief and the abandonment. So during this activity, I remember it didn't take very long. I felt the sensations in my body dissipate very quickly. And today, now sitting in the emotions, it doesn't, knowing that it doesn't take that long. It actually takes, they're finding that it takes less than 90 seconds for the body to process an emotion.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting that we're talking about this because I want to first honor you for all that you've been through and the feelings that you felt, and also honor the fact that you chose to not remain the victim of
Mhm.
those feelings, of those life altering things that happened that did need to be worked through or did need to change. And I think so often we can get stuck in this kind of victim blaming
Mm.
place. And until you take responsibility for your own life and where you're going, and I don't at all want to discount like true victimization, trauma. People have been through horrible, horrible things
Oh,
and
horrible.
and need time to grieve and need time to push through. And I also believe that we can take our power back and
Mm.
decide whether we're going to continue to be the victim of significant circumstances to what some may say is not trauma. um but we've all had something that we've needed to grieve, and we can sit in it and stay and ruminate there,
Mm.
or we can move through this emotional process like you did. And who are you on this side of that?
I love that. Who are you on the other side? Yeah. One thing that's helped a lot of my clients is this phrase right here, is that it's not your fault. What happened to you in childhood was not your fault. You're a child.
Hmm.
You're a child. You didn't ask for the certain things that did happen to you. And your caregivers, whether it's grandparents, siblings, even
Hmm.
aunts, uncles, parents, they were doing what they knew how to do.
Hmm.
And I'll ask my clients, do you feel like if they knew different, they would have done different? Every single one of them say yes, absolutely. So there's a level of compassion that comes in that starts moving that starts shifting that victim to empowerment of,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, it wasn't my fault. And
Hmm.
there's a bunch of weight that's lifted off. So uh, that's one tool that I want to make sure our listeners know it was not your fault what happened to you in childhood. Now, as an adult, as a healthy adult, here you are listening to this message, this podcast, knowing that it's not your fault. Now your healthy adults can be on the other side. How do you get there? Right. So I started visiting the thoughts of my marriage and realized that I didn't have that visceral activation any longer and was able to let go. That's when I knew that I was on the other side of it. My body didn't have that physical reaction, and this was huge for me.
Yeah.
So now as a healthy adult, I'm able to fully feel the emotions, knowing the feelings aren't going to last forever. So our body there's chemicals that come up in the body with every emotion that we feel. Chemicals are released. So if we can sit and breathe to move it through the body, we have to feel it to heal it. Your body will metabolize that chemical and that emotion in less than 90 seconds.
I want our audience to hear that. So many of us struggle with sitting still and feeling. 90 seconds. 90 seconds, y'all. 90 seconds. You can start there with sitting through this emotion. If you can make it through 90 seconds, you can make it through it.
Absolutely. The world is brighter on the other side. There is a space of freedom and peace on the other side of that 90 seconds. That's what I noticed for me. And then I started to remember things I loved doing as a child. And there was this new space that was allowed for me. That's what's on the other side. And I hear it all the time with the clients. When we start applying these tools, they see things differently. They run their businesses differently. They approach conversations differently. It's more peaceful and freeing. So, yeah, to recap, connecting my childhood to my adulthood, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners can relate things and patterns and beliefs that happen to us in childhood. We're literally adolescents in adult bodies until we can slow down and take a look at these patterns. So the child inside of me decided never let go or you'll be hurt again. And from my healthy adults, there was transitioning happening, that ending and letting go wasn't terrifying and unsafe anymore. I was able to sit with that little girl that kept moving from place to place and letting her know that moving and letting go was actually creating a space of creativity, freedom, and it brought a whole new perspective to her and then to me in turn. So things are a lot lighter these days. The transitions, letting things go from the past, creates spaces for new things, new alignments.
Well, and speaking of new things, what's new happening? Where are you headed in the next 6 months, year, 5 years?
Yeah, gosh. Oh, gosh. See, now I'm future tripping. I'm going to bring it back. So much is happening. I got to go to China this past year and do an inner child workshop over there.
Wow.
And they so beautifully received it. And we're trying to find another connection to do it virtually for them. They loved it. I've got some retreats coming up. I'm scheduled to go to Korea with a group of women, and there's some spiritual retreats involved with that. I've got some keynote speaking events coming up, but I wanted to let your listeners know I have got something for them. If they are interested in a 5-day gentle soul stirring guide, I've put together a PDF for them. And
yay!
What it does is it reconnects to their inner child. And I'm sending it through an email, but they have to email because there could be questions, and I want to be able to respond to them through questions. And I answer all my emails. So if they want a copy of that, just have them email me and I'd be happy to send that out to them.
Well, and we'll definitely also have that in the show notes. But speaking of that, how do people get in touch with you? How can they follow you? How can they, hire you as a coach if that's what they're looking for? How do they do that?
Yeah, so there's my website, shannastevens.com, and it's ShannAStevens. I'm on Instagram and Facebook they can DM or follow there. So
Awesome. Do you have any lasting words of wisdom for our audience today?
let's get into your healthy adult.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Corey.
As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your next level is already within you. If you're feeling that pull for more clarity, more alignment, and more courage to step fully into who you're meant to be, this is your invitation to take the next step. Whether you're an entrepreneur ready to scale or a woman standing at the edge of something bigger, the path forward starts with trusting your desires, owning your worth, and leading with your inner knowing. This is exactly what I offer. Private VIP coaching, and where I guide women inside the 10K Club and 50K Club through consulting with She Sells and Superhuman Selling to help you gain clarity, step into aligned action, and build a life and business that reflects your highest vision. If you're ready to explore what's next, let's have a conversation. Book a free call now at www.corywinn.com/free call. I can't wait to connect with you. Talk soon.